It's mostly the respect part, like I always believe that when you're coming from different houses, I'm Israeli and I grew up in a certain home that, the father was the dominant one. Um, and my father always respected my mom and loved her, but, you could see like the respect she gave him. This is how we grew up. And when it comes to Jamie, she grew up in a house where the mother is very dominant, and it's kind of always caused kind of a conflict because I always looked for somebody to respect me and love me for who I am. And she came from a place where, I'm dominant, I can do it, I'm gonna do it, nobody gonna tell me what to do. And it's always caused conflicts.
Welcome to the Empowered Wife podcast, where it's all about fixing your marriage without your man's conscious effort so that you feel desired and taken care of and special, even if your relationship feels hopeless right now. I'm Laura Doyle, and today we're talking about the top 5 keys for a successful marriage. And if you ever wonder what the husband was thinking about his wife practicing the 6 intimacy skills in their marriage, well, today you're going to find out because my guest Adon is going to tell us his side of the story as part of our man panel series. So get ready to hear the male perspective on what makes men attracted to their wives and want to be her hero. That's coming up. But first, let's talk about the top 5 keys to a successful marriage. How do you know if your marriage is successful? Well, you sure know if it's not successful because it feels stressful, painful, and exhausting. At least that's how it was in my marriage. I still remember. And it was also secret. I really didn't want anybody to know how much we were struggling and fighting and having cold wars with no talking for days because I felt like I was going to lose status in the tribe, and I didn't want that. Also, I was always trying to fix my marriage. So that took a lot of energy. I mean, I was either telling him what he needed to change or else dragging him to marriage counseling so the counselor could tell him what he needed to change. Or I was fantasizing about a different life where I was with a different man who would do all the things that I was telling John he should be doing to make me happy, like being more attentive and being more affectionate. But that never worked, telling him to do those things. And the harder I tried to fix it, the worse it got. I was going in the wrong direction. I was doing the wrong work. And that's where I was stuck until I got these 5 keys to a successful marriage. And now my marriage feels like my soft place to land. It's where I get to hear how beautiful I am and how wonderful I am. And I get lots of attention and affection from my husband and cups of tea. So let's go through these 5 keys. And if you're like me, you're going to want to give yourself a check mark for each of these things that you have. I live for check marks. So give yourself a check mark for each one of these 5 keys to a successful marriage if you've got that one, just for fun. All right. So number one, number one top key for success in my marriage that I had to have was to be open. I had to be open. And I wasn't for a long time. But then I had the gift of desperation. There was so much suffering going on at my house. That was real. I was in a lot of pain, and pain is a good teacher, right? Like, don't touch a hot stove. I was feeling embarrassed, too embarrassed to admit the problems, but then I became willing to admit what was really going on. And I risked losing status in the tribe to ask women with happy marriages what their secrets were. And they really delivered. Oh my gosh. Did they ever deliver? Right. But I needed that openness, that curiosity, and kind of a willingness to forget everything that I thought I knew about relationships, because I did think I knew all about relationships and how they should be. But I didn't. I didn't. So this was key for me. I wasn't ever going to have a successful marriage the way I was doing things. My way wasn't working. It was never going to work. And it just reminds me of this quote from Aeschylus, a Greek writer. He wrote tragedies. And he said, and even in our sleep, pain that can't forget falls drop by drop on the heart. And in our own despair, against our will, comes wisdom to us by the awful grace of God. Am I grateful for that pain now? I mean, it sounds contrary and strange, but I think I am grateful now that I was in so much pain that it felt like it forced me to make another choice, the choice to be open. So that is key number one. Through my pain, I gained wisdom. All right. So, number two, the second top key for a successful marriage was learning the six intimacy skills. And this is where I learned to become empowered. This was the information that I needed. I just didn't have the right information. And once I got it, oh my gosh, that helped a lot, right? I found out that I wasn't a victim, and I wasn't too wounded or too broken to be lovable, and neither was my husband. I just needed to learn some new ways of showing up, some phrases that I could lean on, some beliefs, a philosophy for living in my marriage. And that's the six intimacy skills. It's what we talk about on this podcast every week, right? That's what I talk about in these openings. And then you hear the guests talk about how they applied them in their relationships. It's what's spelled out step by step in the book, The Empowered Wife. And I've got to find out that I was just untrained. My parents are divorced, right? I didn't have a good model of what a happy relationship looks like or what wives who have happy relationships do until I decided to ask them. And maybe that's the case for you too. Maybe either your parents are divorced also, or else they didn't have the kind of relationship you wanted to have, right? So maybe like me, you just didn't know that these intimacy skills existed. You thought, like I did, that it was just some kind of a matter of luck or fate. Like you had to marry the right person. You had to make sure it was the right person instead of looking at how I was showing up and really just working on my skills. So learning the six intimacy skills was a top key for me to have a successful relationship. So if you, oh, I forgot to ask you about your check mark on number one. So if you are open, or if you have been open to learning a new way, give yourself a check mark for that one. And if you are learning or practicing the six intimacy skills, give yourself a check mark for that. So you might have two check marks already. All right, number three, the number three top key to having a successful marriage is having a community. I could not do it by myself. I learned the six intimacy skills. It's very eye-opening. It was revolutionary, so exciting because I could really see the possibility of having the kind of marriage I wanted to have. And I wanted that so badly. So that was great. But I tried to use them by myself and I just couldn't. I just couldn't. They're a little tricky to do by yourself. So I made my friends do it with me, a few friends, just a handful. And that really worked. There's a study at Harvard that found that if you know someone who's getting divorced, you're 70% more likely to get divorced. It's awful. Like we are all at such high risk of getting divorced because so many relationships are falling apart, right? So, and if you tell the wrong person about the problems in your marriage, they might get scared and try to protect you right out of your marriage, right? Like if you feel like, hey, divorce is the norm, a lot of people are getting divorced, maybe I'll just get divorced too. right? Like this Harvard study is kind of indicating those social norms are very influential. So it's kind of only normal and natural that somebody might say like, "Oh, you've got to leave that person," or "That's he's a narcissist," or "That's gaslighting," or "That's emotional abuse," and which I don't mean to diminish those things. That pain is real, right? If you're experiencing any of that. But at the same time, there's this whole other approach, which is to have a community of women who are standing for you and also standing for your husband and for the possibility of your marriage lasting and thriving. And that was something I needed. That was a top key for me to be successful in my marriage. So if you've got a community of like-minded women who are standing for you and standing for your marriage, give yourself a check mark. Don't you love getting check marks? I love getting check marks. So the number 4 top key to having a successful marriage is being able to pay forward what you have learned, share your experiences. So that means you are talking about what things are like at your house, maybe telling a story about what happened, what it was like, what you did different, what it's like now, because this is how you stay inspired on your own journey. At least this was true for me, right? So I've told my story about my marriage maybe several thousand times, at least thousands of times I've told my marriage story. And that is part of why my marriage is shiny and amazing today. And we all know teaching is the best way to learn something. This is how you ensure your transformation is by talking about the ground that you've taken, right? You used to, for me, I used to feel lonely and neglected. And now I feel cherished. I feel adored every single day. And I talk about the way that I did that, the things that I did. So that's one example of paying it forward. But there's lots of ways to do this. You could pay forward what you've learned by being a guest on the podcast, of course. That's a great way to do it. Inspire many thousands of women who listen to the podcast. And also just kind of write your own story, right? Life's like a movie, write your own ending. I'm quoting the Muppets here from the Muppet movie. But it is. So by telling your story, you're kind of writing that next step in your story and going to a higher level. At least that's been true for me, and I see it with so many of my students. Another way to pay it forward is just to share about your wins and your challenges, like in the Ridiculously Happy Wife program, right? Maybe somebody posts about she's having a really rough day. She's having a terrible day. And maybe you even just say something simple like, "Hey, I'm standing for you." Hugs. Sorry to hear that. I hang in there, right? Those kinds of things. That's a way of paying it forward. Another incredible way to pay it forward, of course, is to become a coach. Become a coach, and maybe you're speaking from a stage. Maybe you're leading the Empowered Wife workshop, and maybe you're telling your story from a stage. You are sharing with other women the transformation that you've had, how you did it, and really inviting them to a new possibility. Of course, that's an incredible way to pay it forward. I'm just so grateful. There are hundreds of Laura Doyle certified coaches doing that in the world right now. And I just, I'm just always so grateful for that. So you want to give yourself a check mark if you have a way to pay it forward, a way to share with somebody else to inspire her, because that in turn keeps you inspired and motivated. And just like Zig Ziglar said, people complain that motivation wears off like bathing, and that's why we recommend it daily. So this is a way to get it daily. I just will never forget how I was sharing about how to be respectful with those friends that I recruited to do the skills with me early on. And the very next day, I wanted to be so disrespectful to my husband, John. I wanted to just rip him up one side and down the other. And in that moment, I was able to pause. I didn't rip him up one side and down the other because I knew I had just encouraged those women to be respectful and I didn't want to be a hypocrite and I didn't want to withhold that information from them. And so it gave me the superpower to be respectful. So this is the magic of paying it forward. I'd heard those words coming out of my mouth just the day before, and I wanted to show up in the way that I had described and not go back to my old bad habits. So that is a key. That's key number 4, paying it forward. Give yourself that 4th check mark if you've got a way to share about what you're doing with somebody else. It could even be just you're sharing with your coach about what happened, right? The 5th top key to a successful relationship is having a coach. And to this day, I always have a coach. That is key for me. Now I hang out with the best relationship coaches in the world, the Laura Doyle certified relationship coaches who are completely committed to making their marriages great and also spreading the message to being on the mission to end world divorce. That's who I hang out with. And that's very handy for me because I love talking to someone who can just see right into my blind spot and who also has compassion for my pain. Yeah, she's got empathy for me, but she's also standing for my greatness. Both are true, both at the same time. That's what all Laura Doyle certified relationship coaches are trained to do, to have compassion for Laura Doyle, right? I mean, not just Laura Doyle, for any woman who is struggling in her relationship like I was and who just wants to feel loved. That's what they're highly trained to do. And in a couple of months, I will be at the Coach Symposium hanging out with a whole bunch of Laura Doyle certified relationship coaches from all over the world, having an amazing time lifting each other up so we can lift up the world. I look forward to it all year. And it's the best. Just getting to spend that time with all those highly trained women. So for me, having a coach, having a guide, someone else standing for my greatness has been key. So if you have a coach, give yourself a check mark for that. How many check marks do you have now? Which of these top 5 keys are you missing? Because for me, I needed to be open to a new way of doing things. I needed to have the 6 intimacy skills, of course, can't do anything without those. I needed a community of like-minded women standing for my greatness. I needed a way to pay it forward to teach what I was learning. And I needed a coach who could see in my blind spot and give me empathy and also an invitation to become my best self. That's what made my marriage shiny and amazing. And that's what I see working for women on our campus too, is having the connection framework. So if you're missing any of these top elements, these keys for a successful marriage, maybe that's what's standing between you and getting to the next level and having your marriage last and thrive. If you're wondering how to get started with fixing your relationship and making it shiny again, then you need a roadmap. Get 6 simple steps to follow that will set your relationship up for success. Discover 3 common mistakes that wives make trying to fix their relationship that just make things worse when you download my free Adored Wife Roadmap. You can do that at getcherished.com. Go to getcherished.com now to get your roadmap in minutes. Have you ever wondered what the husband thought about his wife starting to practice the 6 intimacy skills in their marriage? Well, today we are going to find out because my guest Adon is going to tell us his side of the story as part of our Man Panel series. So get ready to hear the male perspective on what makes men attracted to their wives and want to be her hero. Adon, thank you so much for coming on the Empowered Wife podcast. I'm super excited to get to hear your story.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so we like to start out in the bad old days and hear about what was going wrong. So tell us what the challenges were that you were having in your marriage, if you would.
Sure. Um, Jamie and I, we've been together for 9 years now. We've been married for almost 3 years, and for both of us, is the second marriage. So I came with 4 kids from my first one, and she came with one from her first one. And to make a blended family work, it's not always an easy task. You know, on my part, it was much easier because I got Aiden, Jamie's daughter, when she was 1 year old, a baby. And for me, she's like automatically become part of me and she became my baby. So it
Oh,
was much easier to integrate into her life and for her to call me Abba, father and everything. For my kids, because they were a little bit older, so it's always there is challenges. My kids love her, respect her, but there is always challenges. So we tried. We had a lot of fighting. Both of us very fiery. Jamie's a big advocate for signs. Like she loved to say which person, which sign describe you in a certain way. And both of us fiery, very fiery. I'm Sagittarius and she is an Aries. So, and so used to have a lot of fighting, disrespect between us, yelling, a lot of stuff that didn't make it so comfortable at home, especially for Aiden that she lives with us. So it was much harder.
yeah. So and I think Jamie started practicing the skills before you guys were married. Is
Right.
that yeah,
Yes.
okay, yeah, as I recall, yeah. So there was lots of fighting and in fact, I think you guys were engaged when I first met Jamie. Is that
Right.
right? Do I have
Hmm.
that right? Okay. And did you ever think like, oh, this is too challenging? Like, the conflict with your children, um, and the fiery fighting. Did you ever think like maybe this isn't going to work out?
Probably every week, if not every day, we both had these challenges. We always shred with the, like D word and S word and whatever it is. But in the end, we always, when things comes down, we always realize how much we love each other and how much we best fit for each other and how much we complete each other when everything is calm and loving. So, it never, thank God, never happened. But yeah, definitely. These challenges definitely put you on the spot.
Oh, I so appreciate you sharing so openly about that. So it's vulnerable, right? To acknowledge these issues were going on, but it's also just so helpful to hear that um, you know, like I wasn't the only one that had a lot of problems in my relationship, and I know a lot of the listeners feel the same way. Did you ever think to yourself, gosh, if only Jamie would do this or only Jamie would do that, like things would be so much better around here between us?
All the time. And I'm sure she does the same thing.
And
Yeah.
what kinds of things were you hoping she would do differently?
Before she got the skill, you mean?
Yeah.
It's mostly the respect part, like I always believe that when you're coming from different houses, I'm Israeli and I grew up in a certain home that, the father was the dominant one. Um, and with my father always respected my mom and loved her, but you could see like the respect she gave him. This is how we grew up. And when it comes to Jamie, she grew up in a house where the mother is very dominant, and it's kind of always caused kind of a conflict because I always looked for somebody to respect me and love me for who I am. And she came from a place where, I'm dominant, I can do it, I'm gonna do it, nobody gonna tell me what to do. And it's always caused conflicts.
Wow. Well, you're speaking right into what we talk about around here a lot, which is how important respect is um, to a man. So it sounds like that was a big part of the challenges you were having. And Jamie was a single mom when you first
Right.
met. So she was used to doing everything herself and very independent. It
Very.
sounds like, yeah. Yeah. So, and by the way, I also think Jamie is just so brave to invite you on. So I just want to do a shout out to Jamie. Thank you, Jamie.
Thank
This
you,
is so
Jamie.
great. Yeah, this
We
is
love
really,
you.
we love you. We do. It's so vulnerable for her to, yeah, let us get together and talk, right? On a
Right.
recording, that thousands of people are going to hear. So, anyway, just want to thank you both for being so courageous for doing this. And so there was a lot of times it seemed like maybe you weren't going to make it, but somehow you did. So, I mean, was there ever a moment that you recall that you thought, okay, maybe we're not going to make it, like a specific time when you just thought, oh, this is it. We're
I think Antigua was a lot of fights where always went out of control. Like before she had the skills and everything, like I always say it takes two to tango. So when both sides are just fiery and keep shooting at each other in a way, in a figure speech, um, the fight just escalating and going out of control.
yeah, yeah. So painful. Sounds pretty exhausting.
Exhausting, frustrating. Yeah, definitely.
So then what happened?
Then she met Laura. She met the program, and it wasn't an easy task for her, like she took a lot of coaching and she went a long way and a hard way until she became a coach herself. But she actually living your program, like everywhere she goes, she's advocating for the stuff that you're teaching and on whatever she learned, and she's always proud of it. And you can see there is a big difference, in our relationship and in her relationship with others also. She implementing it with everybody else around us, not just me.
Wow. Wow. That gives me chills. That's amazing. So you had a front row seat to seeing her really transform.
Transforming. Yeah, definitely.
It's so exciting, right? Because I think that's something we all want to be able to do. And sometimes it's elusive to transform yourself. So it takes a lot to do that. What did you first notice was different about her?
Um, when she started getting off my page, the way you call it, she was more dealing with her stuff and how she need to do things better and improve things. And this is, I think, one of the major positive points of the program. They're not trying to change the other person. You're concentrating on yourself. And by doing so, the other person gonna learn from you and mirror you. And that's
Wow.
what's happening a lot with her. She's always gonna tell me using my skills. You have to learn different phrases using my skills. But it works. Beside the ouch, I use a lot of stuff.
Oh, you use the skills too. You use the
Yeah,
phrases too.
like
Oh,
it's easier to implement something. When she talks so much and something, you tell her, "I hear you," and this is where it ends. Okay, works for me. Why to argue?
wow. So the culture of your conversations, the culture in your home, is has totally changed. It sounds like
Definitely,
the
definitely. Even Aiden, she's 10,
yeah,
and she she knows everything about Laura Doyle and the program and everything.
but she's
Yeah,
gonna have
Jamie
a
is really living
great
it.
marriage.
Like
Yeah, so cool. So it sounds like you were mirroring the phrases that she was learning
right.
that like I hear you and staying on your paper and and when she started staying on her paper, how did you respond to that?
In the beginning, it's weird because you're used to these arguments and you used to argue and you're waiting for a response, and when you don't get it, sometimes you're getting frustrated because you want to fight. You're used to it so much, but slowly you're learning that it's just better, like you don't have somebody to fight with. It's the argument ending sooner, and you're able to continue with your routine faster.
Wow.
Before, when we used to fight, it could take days until we back to talk, or to get things going again. And now
Wow.
sometimes it's only matters of an hour, a couple hours, or worst case scenario, the next day.
Wow. That's
The
great.
big improvement. Yes.
And so you've cut the time down of where it would be tense between
Yeah.
you, it sounds like. And then what about the frequency? How often would you say everyone, I know marriage is perfect, right? There's still going to
Right.
be breakdowns, but compared to before, how much do you think there's fighting going on?
Major breakdowns. I don't know, once a month maybe.
It's pretty good. That's
It's
pretty
very
great,
good.
right? Yeah.
We used to have it like once or twice a week.
Okay. Okay.
So it's
Gotcha.
very good. Yeah. We,
So
we, we both matured. We both learned better skills, better ways to handle ourselves. It doesn't always work 100%, but
no.
you're always trying to improve. You see how good it is when everything is good and quiet. You see how you can function better, and you're more productive at work, at home, with the kids and everything else. So you're putting more energy towards peace than towards fighting.
Yeah. I sure love the part too where you said that at first it's a little odd because you're used to the fight and you almost want to fight. I remember feeling the same way. Like I just was in the habit of fighting, and when it was quiet, I kind of felt weird or something. And I would actually, yeah, I remember I would just pick a fight because I thought, well, that's like, I don't know, it feels more familiar or something. So were you suspicious at all when she started using some of the different phrases that you
Well,
use now
not
yourself?
not really suspicious. It was weird. It was hard to accept at the times because the way she used it seems like she's trying to do some reverse psychology on you. So definitely it was hard. I remember, like, even when she used these phrases with the kids or with their family, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" Like they couldn't accept the new Jamie. It was something different. And we saw it as something because a lot of times when she uses the phrases, it seems to you like she's not real. She's just trying to, I don't know, like, hypnotize you with words.
Like a manipulation, maybe.
uh, exactly.
Okay.
And it took us time to learn that this is actually how she's staying on lane with the program, and she's improving herself. And the only thing that bothered us until today, me and Aiden, is the ouch.
You know,
So we
like
say
a
ouch mouch, like even
ouch
every say
ouch.
ouch mouch. we we laughing about it.
Okay, so
But listen, it's a good thing. She's saying ouch, it means she's hurt. She walks away, and you feel bad. Okay, what did I do now? So even though you didn't do anything much in your eyes, but she got hurt from it, so you're gonna try to apologize, to do things better, and just to keep going.
wow. So I love this. So it sounds like it did make you feel a little suspicious. I'll say suspicious, is that right? Not suspicious.
In the
That's not the right word.
beginning, yes,
In the beginning.
definitely.
In the beginning. Okay.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
it was different. And even you're saying other family members are feeling the
right,
same way. Like, where's the real Jamie?
right. Like,
This is not who she is.
what's
So
going on? Yeah.
yeah. And so there's kind of like pressure on her in a way to revert to the old way of handling
Mhm.
things.
Right,
And
definitely.
yet, what I hear is Jamie is just committed. She's a new woman.
She is a new woman. Yeah,
She's
she's committed. She's mastered the program. She's like, she loves it. She lives it. It's like it's in her. In every aspect of life. It's in her. Even at work, well, the way she writes emails, the way she answers emails, the way she talks to everybody, she implementing it any way she can. In
Wow.
synagogue, in the community, everybody can see the change in her.
Wow. I
Yeah,
mean, that is so exciting.
it's
We're here to,
exciting, yeah, but it's not so good for me because then now everybody see my flaws. So,
oh,
hey,
well, actually, she speaks very, very highly of you, Ron. So,
yeah,
so yeah,
but she
yeah.
doesn't tell me enough to my face.
But what I hear you saying is you've changed too.
Yes.
Did I have that right? How have you changed since she started using skills?
Like I said, I'm mirroring a lot of what the phrases she says. Trying to do better because I see how hard she's working by doing better. Um, I have my own therapist that I'm seeing, for my own issues. And like you said, the program actually teach you, because the program, we also Orthodox Jews, we're religious, so we follow the Torah in a lot of ways, and your program aligned with a lot of laws of the Torahs that we actually follows. So I'm saying to myself, like if she can do it and work on herself and not trying to change me, so I need to do the same thing instead of waiting for her to change. I should do something to improve myself. If it's my anger management, if it's whatever it is to do with me.
Wow. Wow. So you feel inspired to be better yourself
Yes,
from
it
seeing the way
definitely
she's.
inspired me. Yes.
And I love what you said too about even though it sounds like you don't like ouch, 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 and Aiden doesn't like it either, but it does inspire you to. What I heard you say is it makes you want to apologize after you hear
Yes,
it.
because you feel bad. If she got hurt, even though you don't understand from what, it seems still
Yeah.
like very little or whatever it is. But again, I'm not supposed to judge her feelings. I'm supposed to, how she call it, validate her feelings
Okay. Yeah.
and show some empathy. I learned a lot of big words with all
You
this
too.
therapy, you
Those are
know,
big words.
and actually, try to make her feel better and go back to the routine.
Oh my gosh. You sound like a wonderful husband. Like such a wonderful husband.
I hope so.
I mean, it really sounds like it. And what what is there anything else that you noticed about her that was different from the days before? Because what I hear is that I definitely hear that she's approaching your conversations differently and it's creating a lot more peace and these apologies and even some playfulness. I hear too with the even ouch mouch. But is there anything else that like you mentioned respect early on that was kind of missing?
Right.
How's that? How is that at your house now?
It's much better in this aspect. We're not 100% yet. We're both working on it, but definitely there is improvement in this aspect. Definitely. I'm trying to be vulnerable myself. So I'm trying to tell her when, like sometimes our guys, our husbands, we like kids. We like to hear more words of affirmation, more of, like compliments. We want to feel that we need it, we want it. The more you complain about stuff we don't do, we're not gonna do it.
Yeah.
It's very simple. It's like this, and sometimes, most of the time, she's getting it. Sometimes she's still not getting it yet. That's why there's a lot of stuff in the new house that's not done yet. But
Mm.
eventually they will. They will be.
All right.
But
So Jamie,
yeah,
if you're listening, okay.
then you're listening. Words of affirmation, more compliments.
More and some more appreciation, more gratitude is
Yes.
what I hear. Okay, yeah. And I think that's just any mere mortal person. I think we all love to be acknowledged. I think most people are starving for acknowledgement, that we're all doing a lot of things that maybe don't get seen. And yeah, and I hear you. You'd like some more for sure. And I have to guess you wouldn't be coming on this show if you also didn't feel successful as a husband and a father to Aiden.
Right.
Do I
Yes,
have that right?
I'm very proud husband and very proud father to all five of my kids and my two grandkids. Definitely.
Wow. Wow. Well, so this is a good feeling. I think this is what everybody wants is to feel that they're succeeding in their families, like not just at work, but there too. How do you think Jamie making these changes has affected, I'll say your kids, certainly Aiden, but all the kids?
Well, they see less tension between them. When we have family dinners or events and stuff, there's always here and there something, but much less. She knows how to handle herself better, even though they're not always 100%. Or even if they say something stupid, sometimes she doesn't react as she used to before. She's more patient. She see like different sides of the story. She's not so reactive,
Wow.
you
Wow.
know.
That's huge. I mean, that's huge. It does sound like a superpower for her to
Almost at
almost like
times,
a
yeah.
yeah,
At
yeah.
times, I think so. Wonder Woman, in Hebrew we're saying Eshet Chayil, it's like a Wonder Woman, you
Say it
know.
again. Say it
In
again.
Hebrew, Eshet Chayil.
Eshet Chai.
Eshet Chayil. It's like a Wonder Woman.
Eshet
You know,
Chai.
every Friday night when we do Kiddush, before dinner, we do Kiddush, a blessing. So we're singing this song for our wives, for our women in our lives. So every Friday night, she's getting me singing her a song, how special she is. You have to appreciate it.
Oh,
You cannot take it for granted.
no. It's just what you were talking about, being appreciated. Eshet Chai for creating shalom bias,
Don't
right?
bite, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Peace. Yeah,
Peace in the home.
right.
Well, what is your marriage like now?
Our marriage is much better. We working more as a team. We complete each other. Like we're always saying, when you write cards to each other, you say you complete me. All this, but we actually start feeling it now more. We're a better team. We're working together. We hosting more. We have more energy to do things, and it's a lot because of her. Also, she learned, how to do her self-care, which
Ah,
helping a lot with her energy. She doesn't whenever she feel depleted or down, she right away she find a way to make herself happy and do her self-care. If it's her hot yoga twice a week, or going for a run, or doing her nails, or massages, or listening to your podcast, or all everything she does. And
wow.
it's improving because it's improving her mood. Whenever she feels down, she just do what you have to do, and she coming back with a full energy.
Wow. I am struck by how tuned in you are to your wife. You just made a huge list of the things that fill her up,
Yeah,
her self-care. And which brings me to this question, which is how important is it to you that Jamie is happy?
very important.
Yeah,
So top
I
of
can
my
tell.
list,
Top of your list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right after my happiness.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I'm
Right?
joking. I'm joking. Of
Yeah.
course, she's at top of the list, but
Wow.
everybody wants to be happy,
Of
definitely.
course. Of
Yeah.
course. But I kind of hear it sounds like her happiness contributes to your happiness too.
Yes.
Yeah. And it sounds like she's very disciplined about making herself happy.
Very.
And she's sharing this with the family. She's saying, I need some self-care. I'm going to yoga, or I need some self-care. I'm going for a run, or
Yeah.
listening to a podcast or whatever. So,
Yes.
and and one of the things I've heard her when I say she speaks very highly of you, uh I've heard about you being the homework hero, or
Homework hero.
yeah,
Okay.
for
It's
Aiden.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do with Aiden like every day, mostly the Hebrew stuff and the Bible stuff. But also, if I need, so I do the English, I do the math, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
usually I leave the English to Jamie.
Okay.
If I have to, I'm gonna do it. Yes.
Right.
Not
But
bad.
she, yeah, I just know that's something that she appreciates about you.
Right.
And
Aiden appreciate it too.
and Aiden appreciates it too. Yeah, I've
Less
heard that.
pressure with me.
What's that?
Less pressure with me.
Less pressure with you.
Less pressure. It's fun. Relax.
Oh, you guys have a good time with the
Have a
homework.
good time. Yeah.
It's not like something hard to do. It's
Exactly.
we're gonna have some fun together. It's
Yep.
daddy-daughter bonding time.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Gosh, I think especially in a blended family, that's so aspirational. This is what everyone hopes they're gonna have in their blended family, and you have achieved that. So I think
Right.
that's a pretty impressive accomplishment.
Yeah. Thank God. Like it's Aiden is also a blessing for me and my kids. We all love her. Like I love her. She's my own. She's
Right.
my daughter. So I'm telling
Yeah.
Jamie all the time. You want to go to Laura's vacation and stuff? Go, go. Me and Aiden, we're here. We're fine. You can go. We're all good.
It's one of the first things you said. She's my baby. Like that's my it's like she's my baby. So I really hear the connection and the bond that you have with her. And I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So what is a tip that you would have for a woman who is listening and she's where you guys used to be? Lots of fights, very fiery. It feels like, the relationship's very rocky. And she wants what you have now, where there's a lot of mutual admiration and it's more peaceful. And the blended family is really working for everyone. But what should she do? What's a tip you would have for her?
Can I be blunt a little bit?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
I love it.
Simple. Men's are very simple creatures. Men's feed them, make sure you have sex with them, and they're gonna do anything you want. It's very simple. The love and respect, that's what brings everything. Like if a man feels like I'm coming home to my sanctuary and I feel good at home and I feel safe at home and I'm happy and I'm coming to a place where people smiled at me and I can sit and have my dinner and then lay on the couch and cuddle with my wife and just have fun and relax, the man always gonna do what his wife wants. You're always gonna be a happy wife if you work it this way. But if he comes home and you have like a grumpy face and you're always complaining and as soon as he's at the door, you give him a list of all the things he didn't do for the past month, the first thing he wants to do is turn around and go back to work.
Yeah,
It's very
yeah,
simple.
it
And
is. You make it sound so straightforward. So,
it
and
is.
yeah, no, I agree. I agree. And your marriage is proof of that, really.
Right. I'm telling Jamie all the time, you want something big, I don't know what, the moon? So let's have fun at night. In the morning, ask for whatever you want. Very simple. I'm a simple guy. I want to eat good and sleep good.
And that makes you want to be her hero, it sounds like.
Yes,
You're gonna
definitely.
go get that moon somehow. You're gonna
Yeah,
lasso it for her.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. And what would you say is contributes to you feeling most attracted to your wife?
Her smile, her smile. She's a loving person. She's always thinking good about people. She always see the good in people. This is something amazed me since we met in the beginning. Like her smile brightening the room. And she always see the good in people, and I love it. Because I'm the other way.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I'm really the other way. Yeah, like it's hard for me to see always the good in people.
Oh, okay, gotcha,
So
gotcha,
she kind of complete me in this aspect.
gotcha, gotcha.
And I
So,
respect her a lot for that.
oh, so sweet, so sweet. So
Yeah.
yeah, she has got a natural optimism, it sounds like,
Yes.
that you find. And that I think, when you just said her smile, I felt like that's a big wisdom bomb right there, right?
Right.
That's very attractive when she's smiling, when she's
Yeah.
happy. Well, I love it. Is there anything else any other wisdom bombs that you have for us, for as listeners, the listeners, and for me about your your perspective on what makes marriages successful?
Well, like it says, I wrote a lot of stuff over here, but
Oh, tell me. I want to hear it all.
yeah,
All of that.
like it's some stuff from the Judaism, So it says a lot that the wife should respect her husband through the expression of a gentle and quiet spirit. She showing support and encouragement and finding areas to build him up. So it's everything is going back to the love and respect and to see the good in your husband and tell him how good he is, what he's able to do, not all the stuff he didn't do or not able to do. And you definitely gonna bring him up, make him your hero, and make your life better and your marriage better.
Oh, I love that. I mean, yeah, it does sound so wise. And this makes me wonder too, because Jamie's made a big investment in learning the intimacy skills,
Right.
and sounds like it's really paid off, but she definitely invested a lot. And I'm sure at some point you guys had a conversation about that. I'm guessing actually. I should ask. I should ask, how did you feel about making that investment?
Well, in the beginning, she never told me, you know, what it really is. But even later, when I found out, like I think, sometimes you have to. The more you invest in something, the more you feel obligated to it, and you feel like you want to accomplish better things with it and do better with it. So I think that's what happened to her. It's pushed her to be what she is today,
Yeah.
and it's like a Jamie 3.0.
3.0, not
Yeah,
even 2.0, huh?
yeah, 3.0. I've upgraded her to the
You've
AI,
upgraded.
to the AI.
There's a third level.
Yeah, artificial intelligence, She knows everything. So, all wives,
Yeah.
they know everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's such a great accomplishment, and I just want to congratulate both of you. I mean,
Thank you.
she has really focused and put tremendous commitment and determination into transforming everything and herself and all these relationships. It's, pretty impressive to hear that it's not just her relationship with you, but it's with everybody. It sounds like
Everybody around, right.
and everybody sees that. And it sounds like the two of you together have created a wonderful home. Uh, and for your children, your grandchildren, Adon, who's still at home, and
Right.
sounds like some other ones might be at home too. So I just am really inspired and impressed by the way you've given those kids this home court advantage and just created more love in the world. So thank you so much for,
Definitely. Thank
yeah.
you. We have to thank you so much for your program, for everything you're doing for people around the world, and for bringing all these skills and all this stuff out there, so people gonna actually have the tools of knowing what to do to improve their life and their marriage. Because just to say some kind of statements, it's easy, but to have tools of learning how to do it, it's a great thing. So we definitely thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Adon. It makes my day to hear that this has been helpful and made a difference in your family. So,
Yes.
well,
Definitely.
thank you so much. Great job sharing your story and enlightening all of us today. I'm so grateful to hear your perspective.
Thank you for having me.
Have you fixed a problem in your marriage, big or small, using the six intimacy skills? If so, I would love to hear all about it and have you as a guest on the Empowered Wife podcast. If you're willing to make a big contribution to ending world divorce and pay it forward by inspiring other women with your story, go to lauradoyle.org/podcast dash guest. That's lauradoyle.org/podcast dash guest. And let me know that you're willing to make a big contribution to ending world divorce. I can't wait to meet you. Listen and subscribe to the Empowered Wife podcast. On next week's podcast, I'm going to talk about how to deal with a critical partner. I'm going to show you 2 powerful ways. And in the meantime, I hope you are having lots of fun. Today's fun fact is that my niece has canceled our lunch plans 3 times in a row, and I'm really starting to think that she doesn't like lunch.